What's up, guys, and welcome to this segment of Pinckney's Prospects. I'm Billy Pinckney, and today we're joined by Kansas City Royals prospect Noah Murdock. Noah, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Now, you attended the University of Virginia, played there. What was your experience like playing college ball in your home state?
It was really good. I was very excited out of high school that I was able to commit so early. I committed as a freshman, so
Wow.
kind of getting that off my plate as far as, college decisions was really nice. And to have it be the University of Virginia, especially, at a time where they were having a lot of success. They were back-to-back College World Series appearances, won 2015. So a lot of hype going into my freshman year. So I was very excited.
Now, you were drafted twice, first by the Nationals, and then in the seventh round of the 2019 draft by the Royals. I'm sure that was an amazing moment for you and your family.
Absolutely. Just getting drafted out of high school was something I didn't expect. I had sent out a letter to the team saying I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready physically, mentally. I just wanted to go to college, get my feet on the ground, kind of learn the ropes a little bit, kind of be on my own. But to get picked and as a 38th round, it was just a blessing. Not a lot of guys get an opportunity to be drafted. To do it twice was special for me.
Now, what were some lessons that you learned throughout your time at the University of Virginia?
There was a lot of maturing to be done, like I said, both physically and mentally. But one of the things I think really helped me out, got me to this point, was my Tommy John surgery. I think going through that process, I got to reflect, learn a lot about myself. Sitting out for an entire year, something that I haven't done, obviously coming from a high school and being the pitcher that I was, I didn't sit out a lot. So I was always used to playing. So having that year off and on the bench took a lot of reflection. And then kind of going into my sophomore and junior year after that injury was when I really started to take off a little bit.
Yeah, now so far you spent one season in pro ball with the Royals. A lot of guys talk about the mechanical or mental adjustments they had to make from their college days. What were some adjustments that you had to make in order to be a successful professional player?
I think the hardest thing was you get a little bit of freedom, but that was also the best thing for me. Coming from, a college program where we had a certain way that we needed to throw or pitch, and now having that freedom, it gave me the ability to really explore, who I was as a pitcher. I got to adjust some things that made me a little more comfortable. I saw my velo tick up quite a bit from some of those changes that I made. And that's kind of what pro ball is. You start to learn a lot about yourself as an individual. You don't really conform to a team view. But there's also a lot of guys that are doing their own thing. So you get to learn from them as well. So it's just constantly learning, and you just got to be able to handle all that.
Right now, with this past season being canceled for you, what were some facets of your game that you were able to continue to develop and enhance?
Everything. This was a chance for me to continue what I did in pro ball my first season. I had a lot of success, but also really kind of work on certain pitches that I wanted to sharpen or get better, maybe throw for more strikes. This off time I think really helped a lot of people, and I'm sure it hurt a lot of people. But I was actually able to change every single grip of all my pitches. And really take a look at Rapsodo and try to figure out what I wanted my pitches to do. But the toughest thing was, you end up working on certain pitches, but you don't have batters all the time, especially in this off time, to see how effective they are. So a lot of it is just kind of playing by feel and playing by what you see, and trusting the communication from whoever's catching you to tell you what the pitch is doing.
Right now, you have a ball right there. You want to take us through those pitches and maybe what you've been working on?
Absolutely. So I'm a primarily two-seam pitcher. So, a lot of guys will end up throwing their fingers right on the seams like that. But for me, I feel like I get a lot of attention at my fingertips, and it actually bruises me a little bit if I'm too much on the seam. So what I'll do is I'll pull the ball down and I'll put it on no seam. So I'll put it right in between, right in that horseshoe right there. Like I said, a lot of guys traditional two-seam, but I'll put my fingers together in between the seams. Just to take a little bit of pressure, because the laces can tear you up quite a bit, especially if you're a harder thrower. So that would be my two-seam grip. When I do throw my four-seam, which will typically be up in the zone, 0-2 count, I'll just do my fingers together, a typical four-seam grip. Now my curveball was a big adjustment for me this year. So for the quarantine, like I said, I changed all my grip. So typically I was a traditional in this horseshoe right here type of guy. And then I started to get more into the spin rate and adjusting, my depth of my ball. And I realized that doing a little spike grip is what helped me the most. And I've never been, a guy that is like the spike grip. It's very uncomfortable at first. You almost feel like you're holding it with one finger. But getting that fingernail on the ball for me allowed me to get a little bit more on top of it and have more depth. So that's been really successful for me. And then for my slider, I go with what would be my 4-seam typical grip across those seams. And basically I just kind of put them together on the side of the ball. And this allows me to think that I'm throwing a fastball, but with my fingers slightly on the side, now the ball kind of comes off naturally with that same arm speed and kind of come off the fingers off the side a little bit. So I get a little bit more of that harder, sharper action that I would want out of my slider. And my changeup, which is kind of what I'm developing right now, especially because I'm just kind of playing catch and not really on the mound, has been quite a work in progress. They say, you really need to find something that's comfortable for you in order for it to work. And I've done a lot of finger adjustments. I'll do that 4-seam grip like my fastball, but I'll just kind of put these 2 fingers on the ball. And I've been, kind of adjusting my fingers a little bit, and nothing's really ever worked for me. And then I kind of realized I've been playing catch with it recently, and it's really been working, that it's really not about the fingers up here. It's about my thumb. So I'll take that traditional circle change grip, whatever people want to do. And I've had my thumb kind of, on the side of the ball. And now I'm starting to put the thumb under the ball. So this kind of allows these 2 fingers right here to slip over that thumb. That thumb was kind of blocking off that spin at first. And now that it's under the ball, I can kind of turn it over a little bit better. So that's been very successful for me. But yeah, those are my grips.
It's awesome. You feel that pronating at all affects your arm in any way?
So I've always been a guy that's tried to pronate, and you look at guys like Devin Williams, Luis Castillo, and those guys really kind of get on side of the ball. For me, that doesn't really work as much. I've tried so hard to get it to pronate, but like I said, now that I'm kind of getting that thumb under the ball, it's almost a natural motion for it to go on the left side of that thumb. Before, because that thumb was blocking it off, I have to get it over the thumb. But if the thumb's already under, it just naturally comes off. So that's worked for me, and I think that's big for any kid that wants to learn change-up grip, is play around with the thumb as well. Don't just forget about it.
Right. And then going back to that spike curveball grip, a lot of guys seem to be wanting to throw that pitch. It's a nasty pitch if you get it down right. So that's great.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing is you're a tall guy, 6'8". Pitchers are typically on the taller side, but how do you feel being a taller pitcher has affected your game in a positive or negative way?
I think the positives of it are definitely the intimidation factor. You see a lot of guys on the mound on TV that are, I think guys like Garrett Cole, who, he's 6'4", he's 6'3", whatever. He's pretty tall, but you can easily tell when a guy is 6'6" or above and he's on the mound, and it kind of has that presence. That's really good. Right. But there are quite a bit of negative effects. There's a lot of moving parts, my long arms, long legs. So a lot of my development physically is not only getting stronger to fill my frame, but it's making sure that I'm staying athletic. And I give a lot of credit to the Royals, because a part of our program is not just the lifting aspect or the conditioning. There's a lot of athletic development, a lot of sprinting movements, side-to-side movements, making sure that we're limber. And I think really honing in on the athletic development side of conditioning and lifting has been very crucial for me.
Right, and I'm sure that played a major role too in how hard you throw in the upper 90s. Do you feel there are any keys to throwing that hard, or do you feel that some of it's natural, or there's some things that you have to go through in order to gain that velocity?
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects. Just alluding to the athletic development part, being able to move quicker down the mound. Like I said, some of those lateral movements that I kind of work on before I lift are huge, because learning how to move your body quickly laterally, especially as a pitcher, is important. But there are definitely a lot of other things. I've had to adjust my arm path. A quicker, cleaner arm path, especially after my Tommy John surgery, was crucial for me. And just, one of my favorite quotes, I think it was a Charlie Morton quote when he had a big uptick in velocity, was, I wanted to throw harder. So I woke up one day and said, I'm just going to throw harder. There's a lot of it's intent. You know what I mean? Like you get up there, you can't just think you're going to throw harder. You have to really feel like you're in it. And this goes to catch play as well. When you're long tossing, your bullpens in between outings, you got to have that intent. And I think the intent that I've learned with my quickness that I've developed with the athletic development has been very big for me.
Right. Now you're also on the Royals' top 30 prospect list. As a player on that list, do you pay attention to it much, or you mainly focus on letting your performance on the field take care of itself?
No, I mean, it's hard to focus on it right now, especially because I've only had half a season. I still have a lot to prove in this organization. I still have a lot of, a lot left to show as far as my ability to pitch. And I think one of the biggest things is, when I was in college, I struggled pitching deep into games. And if I want to be a starter, the biggest thing for me is pitching through a long season and showing that I can, one, last physically, and two, take it, game by game and pitch deep into those games. So for me, when I got that news, it was actually a friend that sent it to me off of a Twitter post. And it was exciting. Obviously that's something, it's a big step in the right direction. It's a little bit of acknowledgement for the hard work. But for me, I know that I need a season to prove what I got.
Right. Now, throughout your baseball journey, who have been some figures who have influenced your game along the way?
Ooh, literally every pitcher that has success in the big leagues. I look at guys like Jacob deGrom, Trevor Bauer, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer. I look at, all the greats because that's who I want to be. You know what I mean? And for me, it's not about taking one guy and emulating him to a T. It's about taking bits and pieces from everybody. So, a guy like deGrom, who was, built very similar to me, long and lanky, he's got a very good fastball. So I want to see what he does when he throws his fastball, to throw it like that. A guy like Steven Strasburg with a nasty changeup, I want to see how he throws that changeup. And Trevor Bauer, the way he moves and how efficient he is in his mechanics is big. So I like to take bits and pieces from everybody and not limit myself to one person. And then that's just kind of how I develop myself. That's how I make my own pitcher.
In a few sentences, how would you describe your game and yourself as a player?
I'm competitive. Every time I go out there, I want to win. Sometimes it's a friendly competition. Maybe I want to be better than the previous day's starter. I want to make sure that every time I go out there, I'm better than I was the last time, and I want to win. And I think the Royals do a really good job of instilling that winning mindset in every player that comes into the organization. So it's an easy transition for me just to come into an organization like this and want to win.
The last question I'll ask you today is what advice you would give to younger prospects, whether in high school or college, who might be going through that process of recruitment or getting drafted?
Don't focus too much on being that one position guy. Play other sports, stay athletic, learn your body through other sports. I think me being a 3-sport athlete in high school, playing volleyball and basketball is why I'm so limber and I'm able to control my long body. Play multiple sports. Don't focus too hard on baseball, and make sure that whatever school you go to, it's school, then baseball. You got to really make sure that academics come first, because I struggle with that starting off, and that hinders a little bit of the baseball development.
Great stuff, Noah. I appreciate you coming on, and enjoy the offseason.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. To all you guys watching, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time here on Pinckney's Prospects.